Hi everyone, welcome to Fullmoon Movies. Now in this second part video, I will go through each of Bruce Lee's movie discs and also I will read out a quick summary about the disc from their slipcover without going much into the technical details. So the first disc is the Big Boss. Okay, so this is an instant box office sensation upon its original release in Hong Kong in 1971. The Big Boss is the film that actually catapulted former child actor and Hollywood TV sidekick Bruce Lee to the cinematic stardom. Okay, so we can see that in the slipcover, the beautiful illustration of Bruce Lee over there. Okay, very nice art. Okay, at the back of the slipcover, you can actually see all the key details and even the summary that I'm talking to you right now. Okay, so as we open, you can see on the left side is the Chinese version of the poster for the film, and on the right you can see the disc, and there's it's a brown and dark color art cover on the disc. Okay, some huge contrast. All right, so it's 4K ultra high definition disc. Right, the word "the Big Boss" is written on the dark part of the artwork. Okay, so let's open the disc and see what's over there. Wow, a nice picture of Bruce Lee. Okay, facing one side. Okay, with an orange color background. So nothing to disturb. It's just him only. Okay, that's a surprising artwork in the slipcover. Nice. So now placing that the original disc back. Okay, so that is what we have for the first part of the disc, the Big Boss. Now the second disc is the Mandarin cut of the Big Boss. Now this is the long last missing material that have been reintegrated into the film, scanned from the last known surviving 35mm print of the original theatrical version. So you've never seen the Big Boss like this before. So I have not seen this version of the Big Boss. However, definitely this will be something exciting to watch, the Mandarin cut. Alright, so let's look into the disc details. Okay, so as usual on the left you see the Mandarin version of the film's poster. And here similarly we have the black and white shades together in the front part of the disc artwork and the word "the Big Boss" Mandarin cut. All right, so let's look what's beneath the surface of the disc, what surprise it entails. Wow, beautiful, really. You know, Bruce Lee again with the famous kickbox scene with the red background. Okay, this is really beautifully done, very beautiful illustration over here. Okay, I'm really happy with this. All right, so let's put back the disc. Right, so this completes the second disc, the Big Boss, the Mandarin cut. Okay, now as a third disc, we look at the Fist of Fury. Beautiful artwork. You remember the karate house where Bruce Lee actually had a duo with pretty much all the students or karate students. Alright, so basically this is Bruce Lee's second film for Golden Harvest, and the Fist of Fury swiftly broke all the box office records set from his previous film, The Big Boss, and launched one of the most iconic characters in Chinese action cinema in Chen Zhen, since played in other films by Jet Li and Donnie Yen. So now you know where all those characters come from. Right, so as usual on the left is the the Chinese version of the poster of the film, and here you have the discs. Pretty much it's just a plain with a dark color artwork with the title Fist of Fury. Okay, I guess there's some shades of a little bit of blue and black here. Right. Okay, so I'm super excited to see what's beneath the surface of the disc. What artwork. Wow. All right. I would say this is simple and yet sends the message. Fist of Fury. Okay, the words, all right, the title, and you can see the fist actually punching out from that words. So simple and yet sends the message. So that's a very beautiful artwork out there. So this completes the third disc from the movie box. Fist of Fury. So a beautiful artwork again. Next is the stunning artwork from The Way of the Dragon. There's a famous scene between the duo Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris in front of the Coliseum. And now with this movie, Bruce Lee leveraged his success into a new deal with Golden Harvest that would allow him to write and direct as well as star in his own projects. He only got to complete one film under this deal before his unfortunate death, but it's arguably his most personal and exciting film, The Way of the Dragon. So that's a very beautiful artwork by Tony Stella, and it just looks Bruce Lee in a golden image. And as I said earlier, all the key summaries and technical details, you can actually look into them at the back of the slipcover. So there's a huge chunk of information which will be useful for you as a form of information. All right, so let's look into the details. What's inside the slipcover? All right, so it opens up with the beautiful Mandarin poster of the film on the left, and on the right you see the 4K discs of The Way of the Dragon with the art cover pretty much a black and a brown color on top of the disc. So let's open up to see what's beneath the disc. Wow, all right, so this is if you still remember the image on the poster, on the reversible poster, and you can see all the key scenes from that film behind Bruce Lee, right? So that's a nice, beautiful artwork. And on a second thought, I think this artwork could have been on the disc, the front side of the disc. Maybe, I guess, in the future, Arrow Videos could do that, because having those beautiful artwork on the disc would be really appealing to the collectors. Now, Enter the Dragon. This is the 5th disc from the collection. A beautiful illustration of artwork on the front part of the slipcover. So, for 5 decades following his unfortunate death, Bruce Lee remains still the movie's supreme martial arts star. Right? So, Enter the Dragon actually stands out the test of time as most of the beloved martial arts epic in film history. And that's a beautiful artwork on the front cover with the Bruce Lee holding the nunchaku. Okay, wow, very beautiful disc image over there. All right, so on the left you can see the I guess the 3 versions of Bruce Lee on Chinese poster of the film, and on the right you can see basically Enter the Dragon. I guess this is one of the scene in the film, and that has been imaged on the front part of the disc. And you can see that this is not a 4K UHD disc, and wonder why? Because I guess the rights are still with Warner Brothers, and as I mentioned, there isn't anything at the back of the disc. So I believe there is going to be a 4K UHD version by other suppliers, okay, for the Enter the Dragon, but since this still is under Warner Brothers, I believe Arrow Videos don't have the 4K UHD version of the disc yet, so the rights are not with them. But again, I guess the beautiful art cover on the slip, okay, is good enough. Alright, so Game of Death, another beautiful artwork, and the famous Bruce Lee's yellow jumpsuit. And now for this film, since after 5 years after the release of Enter the Dragon and the death of its star Bruce Lee, director Robert Close was recruited by Golden Harvest to complete Lee's last unfinished masterwork, only a third of which was filmed before he passed away. So the Game of Death, the result is an exciting roller coaster ride that blends Lee's martial arts mastery with Klau's eyes for nail-biting suspense. Now let's open this up. All right, so we can see this time around a larger image of Bruce Lee for the Chinese poster with his famous yellow jumpsuit, and you can see the word Bruce Lee written, okay, like the 80s, like 80s retro style, right? And on the right, you can see another simple design of a black and a brown mixed color of the front part of the disc. And let's open this up. I already see there's a beautiful artwork behind famous Bruce Lee with the yellow jumpsuit. Okay, and I really wish that they could have actually put this image on the front cover of the disc as an artwork. And that would be actually very great. But nevertheless, beautiful slip cover. Okay, so that completes for the Game of Death. Once again, a beautiful artwork. And if you see the mask behind Abdul Jabbar, it's actually at the log fight scene in the film. Next is the Game of Death alternate version. So what is unique about this disc is that from the 1978 release of Game of Death, a very different version of the film was prepared for Cantonese and Mandarin speaking audience in Asia. So this includes the breathtaking greenhouse fight with Warriors 2 Casanova Wong, and directed and choreographed by Sammo Hung, among many other changes. And for the very first time, this version of the film has been made available, complete with 2 alternate viewing options and hours of archived interviews with Lee's former co-stars, colleagues, and friends. And on the left side of the disc cover, we can see the Chinese version of the film's poster. And also on the right, I can already start seeing some artwork behind the disc. But the disc itself, if you can see, it's region B with a 180p Blu-ray. So this is not a 4K UHD disc. Okay, so let's open up and see what are the complete artwork. Wow! All right, that is the famous yellow jumpsuit of Bruce Lee. All right, with his a nice kick, and you can also see Abdul Jabbar giving a side kick, and also other important characters from the film. So that's a beautiful artwork, and again, if that was on the disc, that would be even greater. But nevertheless, beautiful artwork altogether. So now that completes the Game of Death, the alternate version disc cover. Next, the final Game of Death. The story behind this disc is when Bruce Lee passed in 1973, he had been working on one more film which he wrote and directed as well as starred in, The Game of Death. So only a third of the project was filmed before Lee's death, and much of the footage sat in Golden Harvest vaults for years until being rediscovered again along with Lee's original script notes in the late 1990s. And also, for the very first time in this disc, there is 2 hours of Lee's original footage, including the long presumed lost log fight between Dan Inosanto and Chen Yuan, with a new narration explaining Lee's original concept in detail, as well as the project's fascinating origin and tragic ending. So here basically we see the black and white image of Bruce Lee, and the artwork behind the disc is basically a fight scene between Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Bruce Lee. You can see that long-legged kick from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on Bruce Lee. So a very simple design, and yet sends the message. Pretty much all the epic scenes from that film is part of the artwork for this disc cover. And please take note that this is a 180p disc, not a 4K UHD, and it's region B. Next is the Game of Death 2, Tower of Death. And the interesting part of this disc is that after the 1978 Game of Death became a worldwide phenomenon, 5 years after the passing of its star, Golden Harvest set about devising one final star vehicle for Bruce Lee, using more rare footage found in the studio vaults. And the results may be the wildest, weirdest, and the most flat-out entertaining example of Bruceploitation genre that thrived in the years since Bruce Lee's passing. And as we open the slipcover, we can see on the left is the Chinese version of the film's poster, and on the right, the disc artwork on top is a simple black and a light green. So let's take out the disc and see what are other artworks beneath the disc. And since this film was after the death of Bruce Lee, so the image you see here is some kind of like a static image of Bruce Lee, but not exactly. So again, this is what they call it, Bruce exploitation. All right. So again, wonderful footage, something you got to see. And also to take note that this is again a 180p disc, not a 4K UHD, and it is region B. And the final 10th disc here is Bruce Lee, the Man and the Legend. And what you're going to receive in this 10th disc is basically Golden Harvest official documentaries, okay, of Bruce Lee, all put together in this Blu-ray. So it actually features all the rare footage pulled straight from their studio archives, and also all the interviews about those who knew him best. And this is another way of Golden Harvest honoring Bruce Lee's work nicely with a good documentary about him. And from this disc, you will also have an opportunity to see the unseen footage, especially filmed interviews with Lee's closest collaborators, including producer Raymond Chow and co-star Nora Miao and others. And if you're a film historian, this is a good opportunity to look deeper about Bruce Lee. And as we open the disc cover, on the left we see the Chinese version of the poster for the documentary. And on the right, the disc, there's basically no artwork except for this brown and black color artwork on the disc itself. So as we open up the disc, and here we see the big word Bruce Lee, the legend, with a brown background, and a lot of snippets of the poster of his previous movies. Do take note that this is 180p disc with region B. And this concludes the unboxing of all the 10 discs from the Bruce Lee movie box set from Arrow Video. And please share and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you with another movie review. And thank you for watching.